65 is not the retirement age. Like, doesn't matter what age, it's really about cash flow. So I think the cash flow, and then also just realizing 65, which everyone told me after I graduate college, go find a good job, work till you're 65, then you retire. That just opened my eyes
Hey
there.
there, I am Dr. Jason Ballara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?
Hey everyone, I am Jason Ballara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today I'm here with Jesse Ray. Hopefully Riverside's going to let us do this. I'm excited to talk to you, Jesse. I'm going to let you tell the story, but what I've got here has something about being a cabana boy. So I'll I'll let you tell the story and let everyone know your background. But first, I just want to say thank you. Thanks for coming on the show today. Thanks for taking the time out on this Friday afternoon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out our good friend Yakov. He's the one that connected us. So
Exactly.
I'm always showing love to the people that connected us, and I'm excited to share my story and provide value for your audience. So if you want to start with the Cabana Boy, I mean, I guess we could.
It's the first line on the bio, so I figured we might as well go right there.
Let's go there. And I'm just going to clear the air. This is not the banana hammock Cabana Boy. This is a very wholesome, just serving burgers, drinks by the pool Cabana Boy. So that was my first job at 14 years old. I was just always ambitious. So I said, let me get started in my career. And great career, right? Cabana Boy, high school, college, amazing. But then once you go to college, you get a college degree, you obviously are told, hey, go get a degree. You're going to get whatever job you wanted. It didn't end up that way. And so I get the degree. I go back home to my parents' couch, sleeping on my parents' couch, trying to find a job. And I got the one job I knew I can get and get a promotion at, and that was Cabana Man. So I knew something had to change, man. When I graduate, spent all this money, I'm putting on that light blue Cabana Boy shirt, sleeping on my parents' couch. And I think that was my start of like my aha moment that I'm going to start reading books, dive into personal development. And that really started my journey in real estate and entrepreneurship. So that's kind of the Cabana Boy story.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's some humor to it, but I mean, in reality, I don't think that's a uncommon thing that people, most of us had some sort of job that, got us through maybe high school, college, that sort of thing for some spending money. But when you find yourself still doing that job after, college and where you went to get, sort of professional, pursue a professional degree, and now you're right back to where you were. You could have saved the money and not wasted those 4 years.
100%.
It's a moment of kind of awakening. So what happened from there? What did you do next?
That's when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And from that book, I know a lot of people get into real estate from there. I actually got into stocks. And I also realized that I'm someone that likes to follow a blueprint. And Robert Kiyosaki, his blueprint was he got into copier sales. And so I literally followed that to a T. I went to the same exact sales company that he did when he first started his career. So I went to the copier company. And then from there, just was diving into different books, trying to figure out, all right, am I going to go real estate, et cetera? And that's when I started hiring coaches and mentors. And I think for anyone listening, if you don't have a coach or mentor, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, we can go on like everyone who's super successful, especially in the athlete world, which I used to be a basketball player. Like coaches are everything. Like if you want to get better at any craft, hire a coach, hire a mentor. And so once that happened, I just lived super frugal, saved up a lot of money, invested in the stocks at that time. And from there, really transitioned into real estate. And I don't know how much we want to dive into that part of it, but that's kind of like the story of how I went from corporate to then diving into real estate to start.
Yeah, I'm a little interested, just, sort of ask the question, not everybody, a lot of people do point to Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Robert Kiyosaki as like the thing that got them into real estate, and that they read that book and suddenly, opened their eyes. But you specifically said you went to stocks.
Yeah.
And I think it's an easy book to point to, as a real estate investor and say, oh, that was the one that got me going. But I think the message there and what you're saying is maybe is definitely worth pointing out in the sense that, it's not necessarily about just specifically real estate.
Yeah.
It's about, kind of developing skills that remove you from, kind of the golden handcuffs of a W-2 job, and thinking more as an investor and an entrepreneur. And then in his, subsequent books like Cash Flow Quadrant that I think describe that even better. So I'm actually, you saying that is like, not that most people are like, oh, it made me go immediately to real estate.
Hmm.
Personally, for me, it did not. Like, I read the book a long time ago, and I didn't take it as a real estate exclusive book, but I understand why people look at it that way. Like, real estate's a great investment vehicle, but it's not the only investment vehicle. I imagine, sort of taking a sales job and developing those skills may have been equally, if not more, impactful to what kind of the next steps that you took. So I wonder if you touch on that, and we'll talk about mentorship and coaches as well. But I just wanted to kind of bring that up because I do think that's a little bit different than what a lot of people say about
So true. And I think at the end of the day, that book made me realize 65 is not the retirement age. Like, doesn't matter what age, it's really about cash flow. So I think the cash flow, and then also just realizing 65, which everyone told me after I graduate college, go find a good job,
it.
work till you're 65, then you retire. That just opened my eyes there. So 100%. So then I dive into sales. And like you said, sales was a huge part of my life, and also, currently. And the skill set that I was able to learn from there, also from the fact that you're able to earn a lot of money. And for me, I lived at my base salary. So I said $42,000. This is what I'm gonna live off of. And through my career, I went up to 200K in sales, and I still was always living at that 42K mark. And that's what ended up having me be able to then take that nest egg that I saved up to then invest into real estate. But I think for me was delayed gratification, and then also realizing that, okay, I want to play in real estate, but I didn't realize that you can raise private capital. You can have all these ways. All I knew was save 100K, and then I can dive in. So I went 5 years analysis paralysis, and then eventually I said, all right, I'm gonna actually write down my goals. I think it's so important. If you put pen to pad, that changes the game. And so I remember in 2021, I had a goal of buy my first property, on my first property. I've told people for 5 years I'm gonna get into real estate, but I'm gonna do it this time. And so I put my pen to pad, and within 30 days, made an offer on a couple houses. One of them went through, and that's kind of how I got started in real estate. And I want to say it's really important for me at that time. I was living in Portland, Oregon. I'm, my mid 20s. I was trying to figure out this world of, you know, personal development, wanted to do more out of life. And I didn't really have that association around me. I think a lot of people can relate to that. They're hanging out with the same friends that they had in high school and college. And for me, it was not really outgrowing them. I just had different goals. And so it was really hard for me to stay in that same environment, same association. So my idea was, after I saw a tweet, my whole life is around tweets and quotes. So
Yeah.
this tweet said, life hack: in your 20s, move out of your hometown. I took it to heart. I said, all right, cool. It was during COVID. So I said, there's no reason I have to physically be here. So I bought my first house in Phoenix, Arizona. That's how I got to Phoenix, Arizona. At the same time, I had the process of, okay, I'm going to buy a big house. And my thought was, I'm going to house hack it. And house hacking, I'm not sure if your audience knows, but essentially for me, it was living in one of the bedrooms and then renting out all the other rooms. And another way you can do it, if you have a duplex, live in one unit and then rent out the other. And for me, it was also being intentional about, who do I want to live with? I'm in my mid to late 20s at this time. And for me, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so I filled it with other aspiring entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs. And from there, that's when the concept of Growth House started, which is basically creating these entrepreneur hubs that people actually live and build together. So I'll stop there, but that's kind of my journey, how I transitioned from, I'm actually still working my job at this time, but how I transitioned into real estate.
Yeah, the couple of, really great points, and I do want to back up to the point about coaches and mentorship, because I think obviously, you mentioned, some of the great athletes, they all have coaches, and I think there are certain things that people associate with, this is where you should have a coach, and it's getting more mainstream to have coaches within business and personal development, but um, where did you start with that? Just like for people listening, if maybe they're in their beginning and they're like, okay, everybody says I should get a coach and a mentor, but it's hard to decide. I think there's so many coaches out there now that it
Yeah.
is a little bit hard to decide. How did you, kind of decide who you wanted to go to, what type of coach you wanted? How did you find that in the beginning?
Yeah, great question. For me, it was who had fruit on the tree, who had the lifestyle I wanted to live, who had someone I could trust and like. Because at the end of the day, like people buy from who they trust and like, and I was the same way as someone looking for the right coach. And so my first coach was Tyrone Jackson. He was wealthy investor, so that was my first stock coach, and he helped me with cover calls and that type of stuff. We had weekly calls, group training, and that's how I got started. And I say for people, especially now, and as I look for my coach now, who I just hired, it was the same thing. Now I'm out of stocks. I'm now looking to grow my business. Now I'm an entrepreneur and also a real estate investor. So who's done that? Who's done the, in real estate, grown their portfolio, has the cash flow, living the life I want to live, and then also who's helped other people grow their business as well. And so that's the thing. It's just like, what are you trying to accomplish? And I think most people don't have clarity. So that's step one. Get clear. What do you actually want to accomplish in the 5 year, span? And then figure out who's already done it, and then figure out, is this someone that you vibe with? Like don't go to a coach if you're not like excited about working with them. And so for me, it was, for the first coach, listening to hours of his podcasts. Even my second coach, coach overseas, Brad D'Antonio, hours of his podcast. We became friends over social media. And then I said, hey, I'm about to take this serious. I need your help. And so I definitely seek out my coaches based on where I'm at in life and what I'm trying to accomplish.
That's a great point, and not I don't even know that I ever thought of that. But I mean, like I said, there's a bit of a saturation in terms of all the coaching programs that are out there. I feel like your especially like your social media feed gets flooded with I'm the guy that makes entrepreneurs become multimillionaires. I'm the guy that grows your business by X number of dollars a year, that kind of thing. It's not to say that there's not just one good coach. I think there's a number of them out there, but I think rather than just sort of taking in all that noise and just picking one, finding someone who truly is where you want to be, and then actually trying to connect with them is a really good approach to it. um
I think there's a difference between coaches and also communities. So for
yeah,
us, Growth House, we have an online community. And I think that's super important because the community kind of helps you not jump off the edge when everything's going wrong. Because as an entrepreneur, there's roller coasters. Like people don't
yeah.
like to talk about the unsexy stuff, but entrepreneurship can be very unsexy, even real estate investing. So it's just knowing that, okay, you want to be surrounded by peers and people who are on the same page. That was my problem back in Portland. Didn't have that, community. But as far as the coaching and mentoring, especially if it's a one-on-one situation, it doesn't have to be some guru or someone you find on the internet.
Yeah.
My personal coach, Ken Wilkins, he's based in Puerto Rico and he has like 300 followers on Instagram. I just got connected with him, saw what he's able to do, and I saw him out. So I think this, in multiple
Yeah.
ways, but just look to see if they have fruit on the tree. And before you even invest in a program, get testimonials, be able to talk to the people that, are in those communities or have done their coaching.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. Um, I, you mentioned something. You felt like you needed to leave Portland, Oregon, and move to Arizona, and so funny enough, literally today, I don't. Do you know who Cody Sanchez is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so she has a podcast, a relatively new podcast. Literally, just
Hmm.
listened to. I don't. It's not the most recent episode, but like the one before it. She did a whole podcast on this, on
Yeah.
the need of, or not necessarily the need, but the fact that most of the um sort of one percenters, like the uber successful, and she defined it financially. There are other measures of success, but the one percenters, she says almost none of them. She literally could find one person that had stayed in their hometown and done big things from their hometown. And
Hmm.
it was and I think that the message is obviously kind of like what you said, is it's that the the mindset, the beliefs, the set of goals that maybe we grow up with, um, is in a lot of ways influenced by that environment that we grew up in, and that may be what you need when you're young. And this doesn't, I don't even think this has to come from a place of like, oh, a hard childhood or anything like that. I just think
Mm-hmm.
in order to think bigger, you also have to think different. And so
100%.
her whole idea, that podcast episode was literally about like exactly what you did, is like people that moved, and some of them go back, right? Like they leave,
Mm-hmm.
and some people she interviewed and talked to, they leave their hometown, go out, live in different cities and stuff like that, and then end up back, sort of home once they've done, kind of the big thing, and got that train moving. So it's just interesting that you say that. Like I literally listened to that podcast in the car today, so it's kind of a very relevant to kind of what I was thinking about. So
Yeah,
when
some
you
people sent me that podcast, so it definitely
yeah
relates.
yeah so when you moved, needed a different what did you do when you moved, in kind of to be, I know you said you started your house hack, did that.
Hmm.
The idea of bringing in other entrepreneurs to live with you, in that house hacking manner is actually very, very smart. What did you do to kind of continue growing that idea?
Yeah, from there it was, all right, what does this look like if you want to live in one of these houses? And for us, it was weekly accountability meetings. It was, cold plunges in the morning, which we had a pool that was unheated. So during the summer, I think it's hot, but during the winter, I think it's freezing. So we
Yeah,
turned it into our little ice bath in the morning at like 5:45. And then also we ended up creating a community through us just living in the house. People are attracted to this. And so what ended up happening was speakers would come speak, and we'd fill this house with like 40 people. And so it was kind of fun just having these events at the house. And then from there, more people reached out and said, Jesse, we want to be a part of this, but we have no more bedrooms. I'm like, yeah, scalability is not very good right now. So what I ended up doing was there was someone across the street. This is a kind of a crazy story how I got my second house. So someone across the street, exact same layout, perfect for co-living. So I said, perfect, let me get this house. I'll get the next house in the next couple months. Did a verbal. The guy was ready to go, ready to sell it to me. A day later, he calls me and says, hey, Open Door just bought it for $20,000 more. I already sold it. I'm like, cool, appreciate it, man. So this was also my second goal. Remember, I'm talking about pen to pad, so important. And my goal for that year was buy a house and also buy my second house within that same year. So it's like November. I'm like, okay, how am I going to find a house? I'm not like a wholesaler. I'm new to real estate, brand new. I feel like I still got lucky on that first house. So how do I find another house in a month and a half and close? And so I really sat on the couch for like a day, and I was kind of depressed. And I was watching a show called Undercover Billionaire. Have you ever seen it?
I know I've heard of it, but I actually haven't watched it.
Okay, great show. Grant Cardone on there, Monique, and a bunch of other people. So it was super inspiring. And I was like, all right, Jesse, get off your butt. Go figure this out. And so I said, you know what? I've heard of people doing door knocking. I come from sales. So what's the worst that can happen? Let me go door knock my neighborhood and see if there's another person looking to sell their house. At the time, if you really thought through it, you're like, what's the likelihood of that? But I went out backwards cap on a Saturday morning. It's super hot. It's Arizona. I'm sweating, and I'm like, all right, I don't want to look like pest control. I don't want to look like lawn care. I just want to look like someone who's going for a jog. So I'm going for a jog, drinking my water, knocking on every single door. And most people don't answer the door. I'm getting dogs barking at me. And then if someone did answer, I'd be like, hey, I'm Jesse. This is my pitch. Hey, I'm Jesse. I live down the street, or at least I used to, but now I have someone renting it. So I'm technically homeless. I love your neighborhood, and I'm just wondering if you're looking to sell your house. Literally, that is my pitch. So I go door to door to door. It's getting dark out. There's this park in our neighborhood. I look across the street. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to hit this last row of houses. I go to one of the last houses before I call it. Knocked on the door. Sweetest Jamaican couple said, hey, Jesse, come on in. Good to meet you. Good to meet neighbors. But we actually are renting. So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, at least I met someone cool. And then they said, wait, but we just bought another house. So I said, oh, this house is going to be for sale? They're like, yes. And they said, let me connect you with the owner. I said, perfect. Same day, I wrote an offer. 30 days later, I close on that house. That's how I got my
That's awesome.
second house.
That's awesome. I mean, you just put in the work. You did. I mean, that's the, I think like a lot of people will hear stories like that and like just, well, that would never work for me, or that, I couldn't do that or whatever. And it's like, but it did. It worked for you. And frankly, it works for a lot of people. Like people do stuff like this. These are the stories. And it's not like that didn't cost you any money. That
Hmm.
didn't cost you any money to go find, like, walk around and do, you didn't have to spend 20 grand in marketing materials or whatever. You just literally went around the neighborhood to find, an opportunity. And it may not work every single time, but like, had it not worked, what do? You just go to the next neighborhood. And I mean,
Exactly.
there's still opportunity there. So I,
I
I
think people
really,
overthink that a lot.
yep.
They try to get all their ducks in a row. Like, imagine if I needed to have like mailers or, something where I felt more professional before going and knocking on these neighbors' doors. Probably would never
Yeah.
would have happened. But I literally just said, screw it, let's go see what happens. And a quote that we kind of came up with based on the story is that, for a lot of people and for myself included, I had a moment there after that house that I wanted to get fell through. I said, all right, it's okay. It's not in God's timing. But then I thought about it. I'm like, maybe God just was like, all right, this is too easy for Jesse. Let's make him work a little bit. And
Yeah.
so I always say now, if God shuts the door, go back to check if it's unlocked. And so that's what I did. I said, all right, this house might be locked, but let me go knock on all the other doors. And, one of the houses was unlocked and that became, the second house. And that's what really started and grew Growth House from, just this one house to now a community of homes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great story. And I think the the concept again is so it's not easy. It's simple for, anyone can do something like this. Anyone can hear your story and do, essentially exactly the same steps, and really truly build their way to financial freedom. So you get the second house. You set that up as co-living as well.
Yeah, so I house hacked it. So I moved out of the first house, went to the second house, house hacked it, same type of concept. And what was really interesting, because obviously the show's about financial freedom and that's what I'm about. And so, like, when did that start? Well, this is kind of interesting because I go from Portland to Arizona. And at the time, my company that was in Portland said, Jesse, like, wait, where are you? Because you're never at the office. And I was like, I'll just tell me when I need to be there and I'll be there. Cause I was like a sales mentor, sales leader. And so they would have meetings like every week. So I literally take a flight just to go be at that meeting and then fly back because it was still during COVID. So it wasn't like I could really do much there. And I
Yeah.
was the number one salesperson. So I was like, let me just keep crushing it and hopefully no one says anything. It got to the point where it was becoming obvious that
Yeah.
Jesse is not probably living in Portland no more. So what happened is I said, all right, guys, I'm gonna move to Arizona. I got a new job. And this job I got, I'm in the middle of training while I close on that second house. So, I have a six-figure salary plus commissions, everything's going well. And in the back of my mind, I'm remembering that I wrote down another goal, which was quit corporate America, February of 2022. So remember these dates. So I get the second house November of 2021, and I get an email right after I close from HR. I'm never thinking that I would ever be on the chopping block getting fired because I've just always performed, right? But in this new company, I'm still in training. So I'm oblivious. I'm naive. I get on the call thinking I might have got promoted without even doing anything. So I get on the call with HR. Say, hey, Jesse, really unfortunate, but we have to cut half your team. And because you haven't performed, because you're still in training, we're letting you go. But we have another position that we would like to hire you for. It's a couple, layers down on the sales, our sales team. I said, all right, whatever, cool. At this point, still thinking I need to lock into corporate America because they're paying me so well, and not really thinking of that goal that I had set. And so I get on a call with these other managers, and for whatever reason, they just rub me the wrong way. They're just trying to like big dog me, trying to say, hey, why isn't your calendar full? I'm like, because you guys just fired me. Like, why should my calendar be full? And I think this is really important because people have these stories in corporate America where you're let go at any point. They think it's job security, but it's really not.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the middle of this call with the people that are trying to hire me for this lower sales position. And they say at the very end, they say, Jesse, you're in sales. We'll see how much you really want to work with us. Sell yourself to us. And when they said that phrase, I just thought about how much money am I making from all these rental income? This room is 1,000, this room is 1,000, that casita is 2,000. I start adding up all the income I'm making from just these two houses. And I asked them, I said, guys, remind me real quick, what's the salary for this position? They told me the salary is just under just under six figures. I looked at them. I said, hey guys, I'm not going to sell myself to you because you guys can't afford me. That's how I left corporate America. I was making more money in the rental game. Like, why am I going to have to sit with you guys and
Yeah.
continue selling myself to corporate America and doing all that? And I said, you know what? This is it. And here's the craziest part is that right after that, I got back on the call with HR. I said, hey, amazing company. I love you, but just not going to be a good fit. She said, Jesse, totally understand. Let me talk about the severance package. I said, oh, cool. I didn't know about severance package. She says, you'll get paid until February 2022. And at that time, I just looked at her and smiled. I said, God bless you. Because I knew at that time that was God saying, it is time. You've tried to sneak your way out of, trying to quit because you know you want to quit and you know you have the financial freedom now to be able to. But that was just reassurance that I'm on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah. Gave you that little bit of a runway to really focus on, entrepreneurship and real estate and business outside of that corporate world. So then what did you do? What did you, with that in mind? So you said that was in November that happened of 2021?
Yeah, I was in November. So ironically, I had one more month of actually my first month of working with that corporate company. I set a record for a rookie in sales. And then they tried to recruit me back. I said, no, I'm good. So that was my so long to corporate America. And then I dove heavily into creating this growth house concept. And what we did was recruited some people, some startup founders here locally in Arizona State graduates who won pitch competitions, and just kind of created this brand of, okay, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur or you have a startup company, come live in one of these houses. And that's what we did all of 2022. And some of the cool stories was one of them got invited to go on Shark Tank. Ended up turning it down because of a vaccine that he didn't want to take. But it was just cool seeing these people have these opportunities. And one of my favorite stories is now one of my best friends. He came to me while I just bought that second house. And he said, Jesse, what is this entrepreneur house thing? I said, oh, come. I just bought a new house. I'm in the middle of remodeling this house and I have the old house completely full. So remember, I told my neighbors I'm homeless. I'm actually homeless.
Yeah.
So I put my bed in the kitchen as the house is getting remodeled. So he walks into this house, has a bed in the kitchen and totally dust everywhere. I said, here's the vision. And he's like, I'm in. And so from there, it was cool to have him believe in the concept. He came in with his business, which is an Airbnb property management company. He had 3 houses under his Airbnb property management team. And from there, within 6 months, getting around like-minded people, getting resources, connection, scaled it to 35 properties in 3 different states. And now, 2.5 years later, he does over $500,000 in revenue with his company. And that's actually a side project from. He has a whole new other business that he runs as well. That is the power of association and environment. I love sharing that story. Shout out Derek, STR manager.
That's it. It's really powerful. The concept is great. What you've got. I mean, people talk about it all the time, right? Like you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Like there's all the things about, just proximity. And if you want to do big things, you've got to be around those people. And I mean, you created you create an actual environment for people to literally, sort of live together and create and grow. Obviously, with the names perfect. I think it's amazing. What does the future look like for you and Growth House? What's on your list underneath leave corporate America?
Yeah. So now it's how do we scale this thing? And for us, we want to be the plug and play for anyone graduating, early on in their career. They want to be an entrepreneur. So we want 2 to 3 of these homes in every single major entrepreneurial city, most likely probably around the university. And then also here in Arizona will be our flagship. So we're going to end up getting I would say like a kind of a mansion, like a multi-million-dollar house. And we're going to actually create a production company around that to document the journey of the people who live in the homes. And this is something that actually within 6 months of me creating Growth House through connections, I had a couple of Hollywood producers reach out and they said, Jesse, we want to do a TV show. I said, all right, break it down. What you think? And they basically said, oh, we want this to be Jersey Shore and business. I'm like, no, not the drama I want. I want this to be business drama, not who's hooking up with who. So I said, let's put the brakes on this idea. Let me get it straightened out. So now 1.5 years later, we're now going back to that idea, but let's do it internally. Let's do it our way with our values and what we want to do and help other people. Because that's the whole thing, man. Like I could go travel and enjoy myself, but you get bored. And for me, my fulfillment, and I guess part of my why, is also I want to help other people achieve this amount of freedom so then they could figure out whatever they're passionate about, whatever fulfills them, which is typically helping other people, and create a business out of that. So that's what I'm doing. That's, I guess, considered growth house living. And so that's how we're, scaling that piece of it. And then also what we just did is we launched our online community, which is helping people escape that rat race. So a lot of our people are six-figure earners, basically people in my position 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And how do you navigate out of that to then start whatever business you want to start? And so that's what I'm super excited about. We're literally in beta. Next month is our first month of launching that to the public. And then we also do masterminds. I'm someone who just loves connecting with people. And if there's someone in my network that I'm able to connect with, I get excited about that. And so what I ended up doing is twice a year bringing about 12 of my top investors, whether they're entrepreneurs or they're real estate people, and bringing them to a mansion somewhere. Right now it's been Arizona. So I bring them to a mansion in Scottsdale, and then I have our community be able to be a part of it. And so that's just like something fun that I like to do as well.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, honestly, I love the idea. I think it's conceptually really brilliant. And I think looking at having this in multiple cities, and especially associated with universities, you can really impact young people early in their journey. So I love it. You mentioned, that's part of your why, and it's a good transition into the questions that I like to ask every guest. The first one always is what is your why? I don't know if you want to expand on that, add a little bit, kind of, I think, obviously you're motivated and have a real purpose behind what you're doing. And I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I think my why definitely changes. My why right now is help 100 people by end of this year, 2024, reach financial freedom. And then the bigger vision is a million within 5 years. And so that's my goal right there. And then that's really what drives me. And for me, it's just like if I'm able to have other people, I guess I would say, be able to live a lifestyle that they want to live, that is huge for me because then they can give back. They can do whatever they want. They can tap into their God-given abilities and gifts and tap into their strengths. And for me, it's helping people play the game not to not lose, but play the game to win. And at the end of the day, like whatever we end up doing, like I look at life and business as really a game. Like there's no reason to think of this and be too serious about yourself. Like this, we don't have one life to live. Let's have fun with it. Let's create businesses. Let's create ways that we can help other people. And that's what fulfills me. So I'll say like that's my main why right now.
That's awesome. Tell us something about yourself that isn't common knowledge, special skill, a hobby, something to let listeners know you a little better.
All right, let's see here. All right, well, we'll go with I was a ghostwriter and I love music. So what that means was when I was in college, I stopped playing basketball. That was my love. And then once I stopped playing basketball, I'm like, I need another outlet. And I think a lot of people have kind of an identity crisis, right? And so for me, it was, what else do I like to do? So I love music and I got into writing. I've always been good at writing. And I started writing with local artists. And one of the artists got signed by Akon, who's like an R&B pop star. And then he ended up going on tour with a lot of rappers and R&B artists. And I was brought on tour with them because I was writing a lot of the songs and even featured on some of them. So not too many people know that about me, but that's a little secret skill and love and passion I have.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. You you've had a fun life. I love all these stories. I love all these stories. Um, it's interesting. You said you stopped playing basketball, and just mentioned sort of the identity crisis. I don't know
Hmm.
where this quote is from, but one of my friends has said it to me a couple times. He said, "Athletes die twice." I don't know if you've heard this one or know where it's from, but
No,
yeah, that basically, the quote is that athletes die twice. Once when they stop playing is the first time, because it oftentimes it is such a big part of you, especially like from a professional athlete standpoint, when they,
for
do
sure.
finally retire, and it's often, they're retiring at a like in this grand scheme of life at a young age. And so I
Hmm.
think it is something that, anybody who sort of grew up with a sport, you need to find that other outlet that, kind of comes in once that one that you've been doing for so long ends. So that's a pretty cool that's a pretty cool substitute outlet that you found. So that very, 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 very awesome. When
What's
people
yours?
hear
I'm
this,
curious. What's your? Because I know that you got a lot of things going on, but also you're a vet, correct?
yeah. I'm a vet surgeon. What's my my thing that like
Yeah,
that
like
people don't
what's
know
your
about me?
outlet or yeah, I'm
Oh,
curious.
well, I mean, I've played soccer since I was a kid, and I still
Mm,
get to. It's old man soccer at this point, but I still. It's funny. We're talking about Cody Sanchez's podcast, and the most recent one, she was talking to Michael Chandler, who people don't know. He's a
yeah,
MMA
MMA
fighter,
fighter.
like top of the. And he was saying that he's like a very quiet, laid back guy, which people don't expect when they go in when they see him in the ring, in the octagon, I guess.
Yeah,
And it was funny because he was saying that, and I was like, yeah, that's probably exactly what people would think about, like, if anybody watched me play soccer. Even like now, I'm just like, my competitive fire just comes out so much when I get to play, and I just love it. Like, I love sports, and watching, playing, whatever I can. So that's still a big part of, for me, exercise is still so important, even as I get older. So
you a trash talker?
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
I can see
I will
it.
if I was going to say I will if I need to. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't back down. It's a silly. It's like a silly thing because I mean I'm 49. Like, I'm playing in an over 40 league. Like, we're all like dads, husbands, like that. People. But it is just it's something that if I don't back down, and I grew up playing more midfield, but I play defense now, and so generally, and I'm matched up against they're better players, and so I think it's just a fun competitive thing to try and shut down the other team's forwards. So I enjoy it. It's a good outlet. Who knows how much longer I'll be able to play, but it is definitely something that I have a lot of fun with, and it definitely brings out the the competitive fire for sure.
I love that. And I think that's something that actually I realized I missed was after I stopped playing basketball. I'm like, yeah, I guess business can be competitive, but I kind of need that competitive outlet. So I'm thinking about getting back into like some men's leagues or something because
Yeah,
I miss that.
yeah,
Like, all right, I'm trying to like, win this game. And
yeah.
yeah, I miss
For
that for sure.
the funny enough, like, for a while I didn't play. Like, I
Hmm.
played through college. I played even some rec leagues for a while, and then I moved. I didn't know anybody, and I was like, I didn't play probably for, I don't know, 8 years, maybe more than that. And I was trying to find other things, and so, like, I started running marathons, which I
Oh,
didn't
nice.
really enjoy at all. But I was like, I don't, people talk about the runner's high. I've never once had it, even though, like, I did
Me neither.
track, but I just like running fast. But I don't. But I did it because I was like, I don't know, what can I do? Like, what can you still compete at when you get older? And
Hmm.
it wasn't until I moved to California, like, and one of my friends who, like, I knew from years before, lived out here, and we used to play soccer together way back, and I was just kind of like, any chance we could still play some rec league or whatever. And so then we started playing again, and I realized how much I had missed it. So um yeah, it's funny. It's how it, it's really a part of you, more than you maybe even recognize until it's not there, and you're kind of like, oh, I guess. um so
Absolutely.
you should play again. You should find I'm sure there's plenty of, like,
Oh, there's
basketball
plenty.
rec
Yeah.
leagues out
I
there.
get asked all the time. I'm like, no, my knees, but I had knee surgery. My knees feel great. I'm just being a little wimp. So I got to get back
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, you're a lot younger than me, so you still have time to before your body feels like mine does after a game. So you can go out there and still play, and have fun. um anyway, Jesse, when people hear this and they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Probably most active on Instagram. So at the Jesse Ray, TheJessesseRay. And then also on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I love to stir up some drama within my old corporate people. So I'll get on there and post every once in a while. So
Nice.
Jesse Ray is my name. And then anything Growth House related, you can find, just type in Growth House Jesse Ray and it'll pop up.
And we'll get that stuff in the show notes for you so people can connect. My last question for you, Jesse, what piece of advice would you give to someone who wants to get started in real estate, or you can take it just entrepreneurship in general, however you feel most passionate about. But basically, someone hears this, they're excited by your story, they're like, I want to do something. I want to do something big. What would you suggest they do?
Yeah. Number one suggestion, I think we talked about this a little bit, but our Growth House motto is you become who you surround yourself with. And that is such a powerful thing to think about, but also implement in your life. Audit your friends, audit your circle. There's somebody in that circle, most likely, that you're like, they're not filling me up. They're negative. They're this or that. And if you want to actually elevate your life, you got to be around people who are trending the same direction as you. So I would say that's number one. Just make sure your circle is right and you have friends that are on the same mission and path as you. Don't have to be exactly the same, but just make sure you cut that negativity out of your life, because entrepreneurship is going to be a lonely journey and you're going to need some other people around to say, hey, I was just there, last year, 3 years ago. You can make it. You can, persevere through this. On the other side, it is so important and it's going to be so beautiful for you. Just stick it out. And I think that's why, communities are so important. So yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome piece of advice. Jesse, this was great. I really appreciate having you on the show today. Thank you, Jakob, for connecting us. I just really do appreciate you being here. And I think people are going to get a ton out of this episode. So thank you.
It's an honor, man. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear more about your story. We'll have to have you on our podcast.
Yeah, that'd be great. Folks listening, please like, rate, and review the show. Connect with Jesse, and thank you all for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Ballara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?